Hello there, everybody. My name is Forced to Reckon. I'm joined once again by my co-host Powercore. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. And we are doing once again. We are here to upload some data through the Data Upload podcast to your server systems.
You imply I have built computers. Everything's analog in the back.
But we're uploading it to your digital universe. That was like the original idea of this podcast, and then we had no idea for the structure of it.
True.
And it shows in the first few episodes of I think we spent like a half an hour talking about one of my OCs in both of the first two episodes.
Did we? I remember one episode. Was it both of them?
It was both of them. Third episode we didn't do that, but we spent literally almost 20 minutes of the start of the recording not even talking about just like talking about other things entirely.
That sounds like one of our conversations, so I believe you.
And then the best part is the third episode of the podcast is when we finally came to the idea of instead of reading SCPs and reading some of my homebrew stuff, we instead try and homebrew some stuff live, or spitball ideas for some homebrew stuff live. And then I proposed 2 ideas, and then we just ended it. It was like an hour and 40 minutes of SCP stuff. Well, probably closer to an hour, and then 40 minutes of just bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And then
there was so 10 many
minutes of 10 minutes of D&D.
It was like one item I had homebrewed, and I've never homebrewed before.
It's true. It was a good item.
Hey, thank you.
And then this week, we finally have an actual concept for what we want to do, and the layout and the format we want to use.
Oh, should
purely. Yes, Powercore.
Okay.
What?
The powers of Stunlock are always unique. It's the round table, right?
Yeah, we have a round table system that we're going to utilize going forward. Oh god, I've just done a thing. Don't worry about it.
Your thing?
All will be fixed. Oh god. All will be fixed.
Oh, I see the thing now.
I just noticed there was a little bit of black on the left-hand side of my my camera. I'm like, I need to fix that. All right, well, now that I did that while we're recording, this has officially gone into the territory of the other thing that we don't that I've noticed in our recordings is that we constantly are very ambiguous because we're looking at things and are streaming this at twitch.tv/forced2reckon every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 10 p.m. British Standard Time, or 2 p.m. Pacific. For those of you who are interested, there's a lot of stuff that happens off camera that gets cut from the final recording. So,
it's all jank.
Chill. Yep.
You probably shouldn't watch the uncut stuff. It is just jank.
But wow, part of the reason I was bringing that up is because I have it in a visual medium, and it's we are streaming it. I forget that we're recording an audio podcast technically, since the YouTube videos have the video included.
It's a little bit of both.
We're learning. We're learning.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we've spent 15 minutes talking about how bad we are at podcasts,
just being meta, let's actually do the podcast.
So the idea we have going forward, starting today, that we're going to try and establish is we're going to read one of our SCPs, or if we ever have guests, we're going to have the guest read their SCP, or not even necessarily an SCP, just any sort of thing they want to use as inspiration. And then we will do a round table where everyone will spitball an idea or add an addendum or an addition to another idea. We'll just take we'll read, and they'll spend 10 or 15 minutes just round table talking about ideas that inspires. And then we'll go back to reading the next SCP from the next person in the circle. until we run out of time. About 2 hours is what we're aiming for. So
That way everybody gets to share an interesting concept that they found, some new concepts they've developed, and art gets to grow.
speaking of, I need to open my notepad. The
That would help.
notepad. We have the notepad here. This is basically just going to be as we do the round table of like our ideas. I'm just going to
jot them down
in here, and then hopefully, if I get the time and have the energy after the podcast during the week, but until the next podcast, I will then take these ideas and like actually create them. I never ended up creating the bug stuff from last week.
So for the bug stuff, and this is probably quite fun, we have tertiary people who we like to work with and other artists, creatives, etc. that I would tell about stuff. We do, like Steel Cabal, who helped us out on the micro game.
You mean our family members?
We're not talking about nepotism, Forrest. We're other creatives. It'll eventually not be nepotistic.
They are technically other creators.
But
you're manifesting. I'm being realistic.
I'm setting up the groundwork for the future when it's not just nepotism. But I told him about it, and he is currently in the works for a very interesting project, which is a recreation of the Bee Matriarch SCP in a little 3D animation. And the way we're going to collab is each piece he makes, so once the drone bee's done, the matriarch and the environment itself is done, I get to slap them into my world and explore the level that's been created. Assuming I actually do anything during the week that is productive to my content.
I was thinking about a way to say that nicely.
I'm aware of my own flaws and habits, but hey, I work on stuff. It's just not stuff that can be shown.
Apparently,
it's like scripts.
Apparently, an update package is available for Notepad++.
There's always one available.
Do I want to download it? No.
If you want to stop all your shit, then yeah.
Anyways, let's actually do this. Do you want to start, or do you want me to?
You can start.
I have like a whole host of ones that it could be. So a little while ago, for the use of adult content, because I tend to pull up a whole bunch of things that are interesting, and then have difficulty deciding what I'm going to watch and or read, in all sorts of formats. I found a extension that allows me to pick a random tab. So over the week, as I was reading, I just left up this like page of a bunch of different things that I'd read, a bunch of different SCPs. I've got 7 of them here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click this random tab button, and we're just going to pick one of these fucking random SCPs that way. And yeah, so here we go. We're going to click random SCPs, and we got SCP-1883.
Let's dive on in.
Let me send this to you. And I've improved my system. I have now popped out the video feeds for OBS recording. So now when I alt-tab to our chat, it doesn't show like a chunk of our chat in place of our faces.
You see, we are learning.
We're good
podcasters yet.
I mean, to be fair, that means nothing to the people who are listening to this on Spotify or SoundCloud, which thank you guys very much. We are officially on Spotify now.
Do you people exist? Hello? Am I speaking into the void?
I mean, they can't comment on Spotify, so they'll have to go over to youtube.com and search for the data upload.
2000. And also send me messages there.
Can you even does /Powercore 2000 work for you yet?
I think it should. The channel exists. Now I'm alt-tabbing so I can see.
but to use a special code, you have to like get a certain number of subscribers usually, and then like claim that, and it auto claims as your YouTube channel name unless you change it to something else.
Okay, I see. Well, hey, just type in Powercore 2000. You'll find me there, and you'll see the channel, which it's been 2 months, but more stuff's coming, I swear. I promise.
Or you can go to youtube.com/RafeLT, because I do have enough people.
Is that a slight?
I'm double checking to make sure it's actually Raphael T. Look at this. We're already off track. Podcast.
There is no track. There's a very loosely created dirt road that we follow.
We got to get this under control if we ever want to have guests. Come on. Anyways, no, you can go to either of our channels. You can search for me, Force to Reckon, on YouTube, or search for Powercore 2000 on YouTube, or search for the actual podcast YouTube, which is Data Upload Podcast on YouTube, and you can comment on the videos there and like the videos there. And if you like the audio and want visuals, we do have like visual, like I physically record my entire stream setup when we're doing this. So
Yep.
there's visual, like you can read along the SCP on the side, there's a chat section, there's a facial section where you can see my face and Powercore's face. Yeah, it's good stuff.
I highly
Just
recommend.
Wink again?
Yes.
All right, let's read this SCP. Powercore, why don't you go ahead and start us off with SCP-1883?
Sure thing. Item number SCP-1883. An object class elucid. Special containment procedures. I said that correct that time, right?
No,
Yes?
you didn't.
No? Okay. Well, fuck.
You didn't even have the fucking L in the right. It's Euclid, so the L is in the last half of the word. You said elucid.
EULID. Elucid.
EUCLID.
I see an E and a U and then an LID because there is a C in the middle. We're not doing this. This is why our podcast takes so long.
This is part of the podcast, though. This is just staple memes of the podcast. Powercore can't read, and I get to make fun of him for it.
I'm paid to lead, not to read. I am stealing that
you're
quote.
Paid
and
to
I'm
read as well. You're paid to read as well now.
It's only lead. Special containment procedures.
Is
17
lead
copies. Lead. And it is spelled the same way, like read and read. That blew my mind.
Yep, that's the joke. Maybe you're saying it wrong. You can't read.
I will. If I could, I would joke slab you, but let's continue the article. 17 copies of SCP-1883 are kept on mobile phones of various brands in storage at Wing D of Site-76. The phones are to be kept off when not in use and only allowed to access the phone network through Site-76's secure data connection. When testing SCP-1883, tasks ensure that targets of tasks are D-class or subjects abiding by the LUD anesthetic directive.
God, that was so bad. Anti-technic.
Okay, I will not feel shame for that. How often in your life do you read anti-technic?
It's so the shame isn't that it's a difficult or uncommon word. The shame is that you're reading it and like just swapping the letters around completely, which I assume has something to do with the way you're
with dyslexia,
but I was about to say I haven't asked, but I'm assuming you potentially have dyslexia, considering
I have not been diagnosed with it, but these are big words.
I don't know how that works, so I don't actually want to assume that you might have that. But point is, you just completely butcher the words. What was it? Thymnic or whatever the fuck you said? I don't know.
I said antithetic because I've seen that. I've heard that word. I'm looking at TH. I see a couple letters that resemble it. So I'm just going to inject it in there. Antitechnic does make sense. ANTITEC scares me when I look at it. And I don't want to look at it anymore.
Continuing. That way you can stop reading.
Subjects abiding by the LUD Anti-Technic Directive, parentheses, annexed. All extant copies of SCP-1883 must be erased with expedience after their origin is ascertained. Redacted and redacted corporate. I don't need your pity clap.
Pity clap. I was proud of you. Ascertain's a big word.
Have been instructed to retain any copies of SCP-1883.
Fucking hell.
Have been instructed to report any copies of SCP-1883.
You said retain.
I'm listening to claps. I don't handle other things very well.
Continue.
To Sigma Computing and Programmatics. God, I want to be part of that corporation. One of the Foundation's cover businesses. Can I just say
Hey,
I work at Sigma Computing and Programmatics?
are you a Sigma computing male or are you a Beta computing male?
I am a Sigma Computing, but do you see any women around here? Sigma.
I don't see any men around there.
Oh, okay. No, there
Technically,
is a tiny man here. Perfect
technically,
segue.
that's true. Toddy is in fact a man. That is a man's
Indeed.
man right there. Toddy!
Fucking Toddy. His full name. First name fucking, last name Toddy.
Actually, his name is Toddy
Boris Toddbringer.
Toddbringer, because Todd is like a death in some language.
Do you want to take the description or?
I do, but first I want to describe. There is a picture on the right hand side of like a phone interface that says score 8711 or 8711. Instructions: find a horse, watch horse for 30 minutes, 7 points. So that is a screenshot of SCP-1883.
Is this one of the you know what I mean? Those phone apps that reward you with points that you can redeem for gift cards if you perform like ad reads or censuses.
You're like
I feel like it's that.
You're like halfway there. You're like half right. Like half
continue.
of that, half. You are completely correct as to what it is, but only half of it is what it is.
Well, let's see the other half.
So, description. SCP-1883 is a mobile app or consumer software application designed to run on mobile phones running either blank or blank operating systems. The interface of SCP-1883 consists of a single screen with a text area labeled Score and another labeled Instructions. Provided a phone with SCP-1883 is connected to the mobile network, the Instructions field will be updated every 5 to 9 hours with a new task that the holder of the mobile phone is to perform, and an award in points. If this task is performed before the instruction field changes, the score field is increased by the number of points described. It is not known how SCP-1883 detects whether a task has been completed. Certain instructions require the user to interact with other human beings, by phone or in person, e.g., call your friend that most hates spinach and tell them hello for 3 points. When such an interaction is performed, SCP-1883 spreads to the victim's mobile phone or phones through unknown means. SCP-1883 has a subtle compulsive effect on users who describe the application using words as interesting and fun, and attempt to perform the tasks even if they are pointless, dangerous, or unlawful. This effect increases with large groups of SCP-1883 users, who compete with each other for points and follow informal hierarchies based on each other's score.
I just realized this is a more analog version of Pokemon Go.
Yep. SCP-1883 has come to the attention of the Foundation after the blank 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 incident, where at least 72 people in the cities of Redacted irreparably wounded their left eyes with various household objects. Most of them were found to be in possession of a mobile phone with SCP-1883 installed.
I do have to ask, man, you must have really wanted those points, guys.
Well, like I said, it's like a slight compulsive effect, so you're just like, if you look at the thing, you're kind of compelled a bit to just do it.
This is just ELO, but as a phone app as well. Oh, what's that? I have to stab out parts of my brain? Well, gotta play more League.
Oh, God. I mean, it's basically the same result either way. Play League, lose brain cells.
Hey, at least with the phone, it's over after the first one. League, that one keeps taking.
All right, so we've got a list of like instructions that have been given before. Why don't you go ahead and read those?
Instruction log. Salute the sun, 1 point. Find a horse, watch horse for 30 minutes, 7 points. Buy an ice cream cone and let it melt. Then eat the cone, 5 points. Bang your head against the wall, 3 points. Ow, where are my points? Call the friend that you hate. Call your friend that most hates spinach and tell them hello, 3 points. Tell a stranger what you really think about them. 10 Oh God, wait! I've just had a burst of self-awareness. Fuck. Force.
Huh.
the quest log god I follow is just this.
Yep.
Wait.
Yep.
Wait.
This is part of the reason I kept it. This is part of the reason I kept this in here, because I thought it'd be a fun little like thing for you to think about. And like, so what really is the things Powercore's quests are? What are their purposes?
No, they're divine. They have to be, right?
Oh, well,
Otherwise, I'm just
these are probably divine too.
it's they're more self-harming. Then again, the last one did make me hurt myself. I'm not thinking about this anymore. Turn gold into lead. 999 points. Damn, that's actually a pretty interesting task. If Babe Ruth was so great, why did he need a bat? That one doesn't even have any points.
Nope.
Rob a bank, only take quarters, 150 points. That's a challenge mode bank robbing. Convince another person that you are dead, 0.5 points. Find a yellow dog and kick it, no points. You see, it does have some more. Eat something that has been in a grave, 200 points. I take back the previous statement. Gain 5 points. 5 points. That one's a fucked up task. That literally can't be
It's really fucked up as about it is like, you can't gain points without doing the task.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't gain any more points to gain the 5 points to gain 5 points.
Yep. And you can't have multiple tasks at once. So those are 5 points you're not fucking getting.
Here's a question about the eat something that has been in a grave. Could you, in theory, just like dig a grave for like a bird or a rat or something that you killed, and then just like stick like some fucking sunflower seeds or something in there, and just like leave them for a few seconds, then pull them back out and eat them? You think it would count that?
I guess technically, I wonder if there's a stipulation of if I had to make the grave. Because let's say I just cooked a chicken, and then I opened up a casket, put the chicken in there, waited 5 seconds, then took it back out, and it was still in a Tupperware container. No, that's not pretty bad. I'm just eating a chicken sandwich that's next to a dead body for 5 seconds.
Yeah,
you know,
that's my question. Is usually it's pretty like specific, you know. So I assume that it doesn't matter what the grave is from or why, just as long as you put something into it.
What if it's a food grave and it actually has delicious meals that just weren't up to snuff?
There we go. Now we're thinking with
portals.
All right.
Ignore this task. 21 points.
That's
Walk
also
on
a dick
glass.
mood. That's also a dick move. Because you're compelled to do the
look
task.
At your phone.
Yeah, you just have to forget to look at your phone for that like entire 5 to 9 hour period. Otherwise, if you looked at it, you've seen the task and therefore have not ignored the task.
Yep.
Can't get the points.
Note to self, just stop looking at your phone. Good life advice. Walk on glass. Describe the noise it makes. 90 points. Love someone. 15 points. Oh, fuck. Most people aren't going to get that one.
Well, the thing is, it's very easy to fall in love. It's just very often that love fades very quickly as you learn more about the person.
But the question is, was it truly love, though?
I mean, it doesn't say true love. It just says love.
So I guess if you think it's love, it's probably good enough for it. Burn an irreplaceable object, replace it. 100 points. Breathe, minus 200 points. Damn. This program's rough.
Fuck.
Data expunged, 300 points. Data expunged, 450 points. The real skeleton was inside you all along. Are we cool yet? No. The answer is no.
I was going to say something that I realized you probably... Well, I guess I can say it anyways because it's for the podcast. You know this, but for those listening, did you know that the average person has more than 2 arms? Or what was it? More than 2 brains? More than one brain inside them?
The average brain is more than 1.
And the average number of limbs is less than 4 for a human?
And if you want, you can look that up. Because pregnant women raise that average above 1.
For brains.
And there are more people without limbs than extra limbs.
Yep.
Beat that.
So, there you go. There's your weird fucking take for the day.
Did you know that everyone has a skeleton inside them, waiting for its chance to be free?
Are we cool yet? All right, so what do you think?
I like it. And also, This is just the Sesame credit. This is just Chinese Sesame credit.
True. I don't like that that's true, but true. Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
so we have an SCP in our real world. God, it's actually self-contained. Oh no, we actually did create an SCP in our real world. I say our real world, your real world. I'm not part of you bags.
You're a data file inside of our world, so you're a little fucked with us.
Actually, if I think about that even harder, by me being data, Sesame credit could actually probably harm me. Good thing I'm not going to Chinese servers.
Hi, I'm Sesame Credit. Welcome.
It's just a competing deity demanding I do things, or else it hurts me.
All right. So
Totally not
ideas.
stealing that idea.
Ideas. Thoughts?
Easy one is just a deity that literally forces quests on you, and if you don't do them, it hurts you. Or if you do them, it gives you points to redeem, like my wonderful quest log god, who's totally out there, guys. He believes in me.
Totally out there. It's totally not just going to be your chat donating things and then you applying them to the quest log.
The fuck's a chat?
Shh! Don't tell him anyone.
Don't tell me what.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
So the one I have is literally just like a magic item that kind of like Mi6 box that you like input a task into it and then you activate it, and it's like it activates and goes and attempts to do that task, no matter how harmful or bad or whatever the task is. But it is just like a little itty bitty like construct that's basically incapable of actually doing any real damage. So you try and tell it to go like kill a person, and it just like actually this is very similar to a fucking Annoyotron, but
Yep.
it tries to kill them, and perhaps it succeeds. It just has to do it in ways other than in attacking.
Has to get creative. Although another fun one too could be, let's say it's a chest with theoretically infinite gold. It just spawns in gold, but it only opens and spawns in a set amount of gold every time a particular challenge is met. And it displays a new challenge on its front, let's say like every day, so every dawn. It's theoretically infinite amounts of gold for the party, but it has a large list of potential things it could ask you to do.
I just
entirely up to DM discretion.
I just had something in that vein as well. Say a tablet or a like book or something that you open, and it has a challenge written on it, and that challenge is something you could continue to perform, and for the entire day it tracks your how well you do with that challenge, rewarding points based on like, say the challenge is to just like cut somebody without them noticing. I don't fucking know. And so the longer the cut, the more points you get. But it's a fucking leaderboard. And so you can see all the other people performing it, and then you can see the reward at the top, and then whoever gets it, the book like closes and spits out the reward item.
Yep. Making them challenge each other for it. Kill all other users who hold this book as a challenge.
Oh my god. What else you got?
There's a lot you could do with this. And again, to rehash a joke, just recreate the Chinese social credit system. Literally just a dystopic future. It gives you your task for the day. You complete it, your rating goes up, your social rating goes up. If not, your social rating goes down, and you get a bunch of auxiliary effects from this happening.
Oh shit! You know what this?
Change.
You know what that reminds me of? First off,
your rating always goes down fast and then goes up because
there's an anime or a story. I can't remember what it's called, but it is a story in which everyone has a number, right? And then a number goes down when you do certain things, and goes up when you do certain things. But everybody, what they do, what makes it go up, is different, and what makes it go down is different. It's kind of like a you have to figure it out. You're not 100% certain. But when you, as it goes up, you get stronger, and people generally like consider people with higher numbers higher ranked.
Big
As it
number.
as it goes down, if it ever reaches 0, you die. You are literally pulled into like the realm of the dead. And so this is like a huge mortality issue, and the story revolves around a guy who has crap, I'm trying to remember what it is. It's basically like a 0. He's like really fucking low number, but he's super fucking powerful because he's actually like super fucking old. And he has, you discover all sorts of different things, but there's like items that can like absorb numbers for various reasons that then add on to the number of the person they're carrying. So he has like a sword that has like 9,999 on it, and it's like it gets +1 for everybody it kills.
Can he draw off the sword, or does he just
That's
use
the
it
idea. Is while the sword is bound to him, he also gains the number from the sword, which is why even though he's at 0 or negative or whatever, he hasn't been killed because he technically is higher than that. And then like his thing for losing points was something weird, and he's basically just trying to kill himself without dying for some reason. I can't remember the entire lot of it, but it was a really fucking interesting setup of that kind of like everybody's got a
number
weird different
credit?
thing. Like, there's one lady whose number is changed based on how happy customers she served were. So
Of
like,
course, anything as long as the customer's always right.
yep. And she like did this like roaming market stall, like open air pub type thing. She'd just go from city to city and like sell booze, throw parties, do stuff, and people were like, she'd sell things really cheap because people were happier with cheap, good product. And it was just that was a really cool thing. There was one girl who's got like a really high number, and her number is she gets a point for every kilometer she's walked.
Oh, a point for every kilometer.
Yep. And she's got like a ridiculously high number because when she was a real little girl, her mother ran out of points, and told her about the main character, badass guy, who she decided she was going to go and try and find. So she's been just like wandering looking for this guy since she's like a real little fucking kid.
Poor, the calluses on her feet. The shoes must smell.
Mm-hmm.
Someone paid good money for those shoes.
Well, presumably. God damn. Anyways, now that we've had that tangent alert. I actually have that as a
thing you can invoke.
as an emote. I think it's like one of my emotes. Yeah. Oh no, it's not. I have the raid emote because I had to pick one, and at the time I was raiding people. But anyways, so that was SCP-1883. Got a few little reward chest ideas,
which will be very fun. And hey, I'm just reminded that I should probably do what the quest log god tells me. That's why I'm totally not visible all the time, guys. I'm just being faithful. I'm not playing video games all the time. Stop. Who told you that?
Yes. All right.
SCP.
What do you got?
But I also have one. Let me send it on over to you. So I have actually, because I wanted to feel a nice amount of randomness, I have barely read these. But I like read the first 3 lines and the premise, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right.
So I have no idea what we're gonna get.
Good to know. Hopefully these are not gonna get us banned.
What would be the odds?
Well, this is a bathroom, so pretty high editing force. Take this clip and put it at the beginning of this. Content warning.
Roaches.
This involves the forced consumption of roaches and consuming of flesh, and is just generally a little bit
unpleasant.
There we go.
Oh.
Just so people know, the picture is of the interior of a bathroom, like white porcelain.
It's a pretty nice bathroom. Bathtub,
toilet, shower, and bathtub and sink
With
fixtures.
black marble tiling? Damn, I actually want this bathroom.
Is that? Oh God, no. Is that even? Oh no. Oh, okay. That's not marble. It's some sort of like padding, but it's not like carpet. I thought it was carpet at first.
No, not carpet. Why would carpet
Uh
in your
oh.
bathroom?
You've gone robot.
Beep boop.
Okay, you're good for now.
Beep boop.
You're good for now.
Beep
Yep.
bop. Okay. So SCP-6698. Its item number, its previous nomenclature, and its object class is safe. Huh. Special containment procedures. The residents formerly home to the Wallet family have been designated Provisional Site 229. How would you pronounce that? I think Wallet. Or what? Wales?
Welt, yeah. Because
Wales.
the L is after the E. So it'd be
That
like Wales
is
or
true.
Velt or
Welt. W-A-E-L-T. Audience interpretation. I'm an American, so the Wallet family apparatus has
wherever
been
you can find
constructed.
money. Fucking America.
Exactly. To prevent, and so an apparatus has been constructed to prevent the closing of the door leading inside SCP-6698 outside of testing periods. Due to the large amounts of spectral energy detected on the scene, the Department of Spectral Phenomenon has been assigned to research to SCP-6698 research. Its
Okay.
description. You want to do that one, or should
I'll
I
read
do
the
that?
description, yeah.
All
All right.
Spooky ghost bathroom.
Something about a bat that basically just makes me think we're about to like get into a phasmophobia game here.
You're not wrong.
SCP-6698 is the Velt Residence's second-story bathroom, which includes its door, that is shown to be completely impervious to damage. Its main anomalous feature, however, manifests when the door to SCP-6698 is closed. When closed, while an individual is present within, it will become jammed or locked by unknown causes, preventing the subject's exit. Following this, an event that results in the disappearance of the subject occurs, and the door unlocks once more when concluded. Little else is known about the exact nature of this anomaly. SCP-6698 was recently discovered when the occupants of the Velt residence reported the disappearance of Jack Velt, age 16, after entering the second-story bathroom. The inhabitants heard him calling for help, followed by a heavy scuttling noise. Subsequently, they had heard something akin to the bathroom sink breaking and falling into a crunchy and wet surface.
Oof.
Before Velt's screams were muffled and ended. Despite attempts by his family to aid him, the door to the bathroom could not be opened by any means available to them at the time. When the scuttling noise subsided, the door became unlocked, but no remains of him or any damage to a sink were found. When the incident came to the Foundation's attention, the family was amnesticized, and a cover story, C1243F, ran away from home, was implanted in the family and local news media. The Velt residence was then purchased by a Foundation shell company. The origin of SCP-6698 and how it gained its anomalous properties is unknown and is under investigation by the Department of Spectral Phenomena. However, the residents stated that Jack Velt had expressed his disgust after killing a large fucking roach in the bathroom the night prior to it gaining its anomalous properties.
Ghost roach. I say a ghost cockroach would actually be terrifying. All right, a normal cockroach enlarged is pretty unnerving. It being spectral and thus being able to crawl into your face. Yeah.
Well,
Kill it with fire.
I'm thinking more like zombie roach, like weird, sort of like a revenant roach, like half ghost, half like corporeal monstrosity, because it physically drags him away. You know what I mean? But there's no actual like evidence of that found in the space. So
we're not even sure if it's the roach that drags him, but it could just be the roach's spirit that haunts the bathroom to this day. Spooky roach.
Ooh, spooky roach. Might not even be a roach. It could be completely unrelated.
True. Addendum 6698.1. The following is a transcribed log of the first conducted test on SCP-6698. A recording camera was attached to the bathroom wall, and D-2254-2 was sent inside.
All right, so do you want to be the D or the agent?
I'll be D.
Okay. I'll do the thingies then. D-2254-2 enters SCP-6698, and the door is closed by Agent Balski.
Balski.
Oh, right, that's me. I was waiting for you. All right,
Mhm.
now could you try to open this from the inside? Try kicking it down and everything else you can try.
Okay.
D-Class bangs on the door and attempts to kick it down. The door and its hinges remain undamaged by these attacks.
I can't. The lock and its hinges are intact. In fact, too strong for bathroom hinges.
Okay, as expected. Let me try it from the outside. Agent Balski attempts to break the door lock with a propane torch, to no effect. Same is tried for the hinges, and she once again fails. Oh. Well,
You
never mind.
can't get me out now.
Wait, I'll go get the technician. Stay inside and just watch out for anything.
Fine, be quick.
Agent Balski walks downstairs.
Damn it. Won't be surprised if this is the end of me. I'll probably starve in here or something. Is that the gimmick here? The door stays locked until I die? Life's a bitch.
It's so fun when you realize that they never tell the D-Class what it is they're actually getting into.
Yep.
They're just
They have
like, we need you to
literally
walk into this room and close the door. That's it. Okay.
Oh great, it won't open now.
What the fuck is that? A giant cockroach, and it's all blue and ectoplasmy. I can see through it. All right, anyways. D-Class sits down on the toilet seat and sighs, putting his hands on his face and groaning. He stays stationary for some time. Several minutes pass before the D-Class notes a single Paraplaneta americana, which I assume is a cockroach, yeah, the American cockroach, climbing out of the bathroom drain. After making its way, it stays stationary and begins cleaning its antenna.
Frowns. That's one massive roach.
Suddenly, the cockroach makes its way towards the D-Class's feet. He yelps in surprise and stamps on the cockroach, killing it.
Fucking hell. Gags and shivers. Ugh, Lord. Little shit running toward me. Like you have a death wish.
The D-Class takes off his shoe and begins washing off the sole at the sink. While engrossed in this activity, another cockroach squeezes out from the same drain. It moves towards the first instance's corpse and begins feeding off of it. More instances begin climbing out, all making their way to the corpse similarly. When the D-Class finishes and looks back, he croaks in shock and watches the cockroaches feeding on the cadaver.
Holy shit, man. Why is there so many? They're as big as the first one. Ugh.
Behind the D-Class, another cockroach climbs out of the bathroom sink and jumps to the floor. It brushes by his foot, surprising and causing him to shout an expletive.
Screams. Shit.
I'm sorry. Shout an expletive. Screams. Shit. More instances begin squeezing out from the sink drain, and the D-Class backs towards the toilet seat.
Shouts. Oi! Hey, wow, I didn't even know he was British, but this is actually totally correct because he said oi.
Is that what you're going for? British? I think we're going for like country bumpkin.
Not well, a bumpkin, but not American bumpkin. Oi, could you get me out of here, please, quickly? There's like massive roaches in here, man. Oi.
I went to make it for a second there. The D-Class climbs on the toilet seat, watching the instances and calling for Agent Balski's assistance to get him out. Agent Balski hears and begins running upstairs. Hey, what's up? Why are you Looks at the camera feed. Oh, scared of roaches?
Listen, man, there's no time for jokes. Things are fucking massive. Where's that damn technician? Open the door!
Sorry. The guy still hasn't arrived. Probably oversleeping. Gotta deal with it for now.
Damn it! Screams in frustrations and grumbles before groaning. Oh!
I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to stomach it. I'll keep you company, though.
Hell are you thinking? Keeping me company? I'm a D-Class. I'm gonna get killed one of these days.
Come on, you're not dead. Yet.
Will be soon. If you don't get that door open, I'll starve to death in here. Well, he can just eat the roaches.
Come on, we don't know it can't be opened. Yet.
What if it can't? I don't even want... What if it can't? And don't ever start your next sentence with, come on.
It's definitely meant to be don't even. You said it right, though. Just, like, that was meant to be don't... I'm not sure how they got to don't ever instead of don't even, since they're, like, almost opposite sides of the keyboard, but whatever. Come on.
Are you deaf, Bunksky?
Okay, calm down. Just trying to be optimistic here. You should try doing that sometime.
Stop being a fucking bitch, man.
Well, that is just uncalled for.
I'm sorry. It's just really agitating with these roaches.
It's okay.
Narrator.
The D class watches the cockroaches. He shifts multiple times on the toilet seat while they feed. Hey, how big are they? 3, 4.
Observes the instances. At least 5 centimeters, maybe 6.
Do you think they're part of the anomaly?
I don't see anything gimmicky about them. I've seen large cockroaches. This might just be a few of those. So, but part of that I'm struggling with is I want to give him kind of the dopey Cockney accent, but his text doesn't read like that. So I'm stopping myself from just morphing it into that and trying to stay on topic.
So many of them? Just feels a little weird. The D class begins to sweat intensely. 2 minutes after this exchange, the cockroaches have fully eaten all exposed flesh from the cadaver. All then simultaneously churn towards the D class, who yelps. At this moment, the tub is noted to have begun filling with a black oil-like substance from the bathtub drain. Once approximately 1/5 of the tub is filled, a swarm of cockroaches begins pouring out from within, jumping over from the tub and covering the floor. They begin piling up on top of each other.
Screams, "Holy hell! Damn it! Fuck shit!" D-Class 2254-2 begins crying and repeatedly yelling expletives. Then he then hyperventilates to a large degree.
Oh, lore.
Open the fucking door! Please, man, please!
Agent Balsky is paralyzed in fear at the sight of the feed, and she does not respond.
Screams, Blanksky, are you
Oh,
out
what the
there?
fuck did I agree to? The instances attempt to scale the toilet, but all slip while doing so. The mass of cockroaches begins scaling the walls. The D-Class, in an attempt to deter this behavior, throws the shoe he still held towards the wall. Without much effort, the shoe sinks into the mass of instances. In response to this, dozens of cockroaches start flying towards the D-Class and landing on him. Screaming, he attempts to swat them off. I think we all know where this is going to.
Yep.
A great majority fall, but a continuous stream manages to climb to the ceiling and move to a position right above him. Several of the instances cover the camera during this process. They then drop onto the D-Class, who, screaming, waves at them erratically, causing more to begin flight. Several scramble atop his hair, and a few attempt to enter his oral cavity. One makes it in, and he spits it out and gags. One cockroach that fell on the toilet seat is stepped on, and the D-Class slips. He then falls into the pool of instances. As he sinks, more than a dozen instances scramble and stuff themselves into his mouth. The D-Class can be heard gagging and choking. Though he manages to cough out several, the majority has likely already traveled down his esophagus, and more kept pushing themselves into his mouth, the smaller instances entering his nostrils. Agent Balsky vomits watching the scene. I don't blame him.
I wasn't even playing the D-Class there. I'm actually gagging. Jesus Christ.
Yep. A great majority fall, blah 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 blah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yep. At this point, the D-Class is submerged in the growing flood of cockroaches, with only his hands being held up. It twitches and gets pulled down as well. The D-Class is now believed to have died of asphyxiation. Immediately following his death, almost all instances retreat back towards the liquid in the tub, which is now filled to the brim. Sections of his cadaver were visibly consumed, and large, wriggling protrusions could be seen below his skin. D-Class's stomach was notably squirming and appears to be bloated to a severe degree. Once all instances that were outside the corpse enter the tub, a humanoid cadaver, visibly undergoing the third stage of decomposition with some visual similarities to Jack Velt, climbs out of the tub as enormous swaths of cockroaches fall from the inside of its skull and chest cavity. The humanoid unnaturally makes its way towards the D-Class before grabbing his legs and dragging the corpse into the tub. Several cockroaches scramble out of the D-Class's mouth during this process. Once fully submerged in the liquid, it begins demanifesting down the drain alongside the remains of all instances killed by the D-Class. No traces remain of the event, and the door unlocks. Agent Balsky opens the door and can be seen standing in the frame with traces of vomit on her shirt. She vomits once more.
God, I regret picking that story.
So I'll go first since you picked this one. I actually did have an idea in the midst of that. So in D&D, there are creatures called swarms.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking the classic kind of like swarm nest instance where it's a living nest, a corpse of some kind that has a swarm nested in it. So it has every turn as it moves, it creates a swarm that's like a little, either like a cube around it or a line out from it that then just like goes up and like attacks things in the path. So basically attacks by conjuring swarms, quote unquote.
Which works. Any creature that exists because it's an amalgamation of several other smaller swarm creatures. So what as an attack, it can probably toss a bit of itself, and those swarm creatures create another smaller manifest, or it could just do like envelop, in which it tries to grab onto something. I kind of want to leverage the idea of it being more environment based though. So like only in this area can this creature manifest, and is it exceedingly strong,
So
because this is like where it's summoned.
what that could be is you could develop an environmental quote unquote fight. Basically you'd give it lair action. You'd give a location lair actions for this swarm. So like a swarm in a lair with lair actions. So the idea is you would basically be fighting a normal swarm, but it's like a legendary swarm of some creatures that is just massive, and it doesn't have its own turn and initiative. It just takes lair actions, and each of those lair actions causes it to create instances of things that attack the players or that like rain insects or stuff on them.
Yep. And just because fuck these things with fire, I would give them some form of objective where they can properly cleanse this area. Let's say it's just a more general taint. There are specific like hive nests or pustules at which it's emitting, and as long as these stand, the room itself gets layer actions. And
Yep.
the more of them there are in this room, the more layer actions there are. So as you kill it, the swarm becomes less and less intense.
Yeah, so you've just created a boss fight. That's what you've done.
Yay.
The other one that I was thinking of with this was, and this has nothing to do with the actual monster. This is one thing I want to clarify. There's nothing when doing these, you don't have to like include elements of the thing as long as like reading it inspires something. And the thing that I thought about like kind of early on was a extra dimensional space, kind of like the gnome's shop, but it's like an extra dimensional door that just is somewhere in the world, and you go inside and it's like a weird space, and then you close it and then it disappears, but when you reopen the door it is at another door of your choice or choosing. So it's like a mobile space that just tacks onto a spot, and then until somebody closes it and moves it, it's just there. But people don't really realize it. They just like go inside and then close it, and they're like, wait, I don't want to be here.
And just want to go back to where they were previously. So they just feel like it was a normal room.
Or occasionally you'll get people who like go inside the room for whatever reason, and they're like, kind of wanted to go to that festival, and then walk out of a door near that festival, and then somebody else will happen to find it at the festival. So like,
so it just keep getting moved around without anyone even really intending to.
Yep. Until somebody figures it out, in theory, like some wizard who's like, what the fuck just happened? No, nobody goes in here with me.
His shit can get taken though. Like just if someone opens it up and goes inside, not a whole lot the wizard could do about stopping them.
No, except cast spells on them.
To prevent them from going inside in the first place.
Yep. So an extra dimensional like elevator door.
So yeah, quick D&D question too, since it's kind of related to extra dimensional spaces. There's a spell called Blink where you warp yourself to an extra dimensional space.
You don't warp yourself to an extra dimensional space. You warp yourself to the ethereal plane.
The ethereal plane, yeah. And one of the parts that specifies is spells cannot affect you, and you cannot affect things while on this plane.
Yes.
My question would be, let's say someone buffs you, and you cast, like, let's say Bane on something else, or a spell that requires concentration.
Anything that is maintained, that has already been done, is maintained. Unless it explicitly says, like, unless they're on another plane of existence. It lasts until they're on another plane of existence. There are some spells and stuff that say that specifically in their description, but unless it says that, as long as the other person is maintaining concentration, then it's you still maintain it, or as long as you're maintaining concentration on like a bane.
Okay. So yeah, it more implies that they can't cast a spell on you while you're in that plane, but if they've already cast an effect on you, that
Yep.
effect stays.
They can maintain it.
Okay.
Yeah, blink is a fun one because it basically is like you have a 50% chance at the end of each turn to just end your turn and disappear to the elemental to the ethereal plane, where you can still see everything going on.
And still move. Like I think you get 60 feet of movement from where you teleported.
Yeah, I can't. I'm gonna double check real quick. I mean that's true. I just want to double check exactly when it happens. Spell blink, because you do come back. At the end of each of your turns, you disappear. At the start of your next turn, you return to a space within 10 feet. So it kind of you don't ever really end up moving on the ethereal plane because you're only there in between your turns. But because of the way it works, it does occasionally just pop you back in. When you come back, you get to move 10 feet before you actually move. So you can actually like transplant and shift around the field that way a little bit. It's kind of fun.
You get to warp like 10 feet away from where you just were. So let's say you get like caught in an AoE and blink activates. You can blink back outside of that AoE and get your normal movement.
Yeah.
It's very useful, very implacable. Although the downside is you don't get to use your reaction because you can't affect things not on the ethereal plane.
Yep. That is the downside. One of the downsides to that. Another one of the downsides is like there are creatures who do explicitly say can see into and interact with the ethereal plane. Things like ghosts can do that. If you're fighting wisps to blink out to the ethereal plane on their churn.
Which is kind of funny. If you have blink, you fucking follow them.
Yeah, well, except that you're on your turn, you're not.
Oh yeah, it's always not.
You're not on your turn. So. Yeah, so you would just be fighting the ones that are in the real world, and then blink back, and then you see just like a cloud of wisps who all on their turn go, "Hi," because they're in the ethereal plane. Yeah.
Hey, then you get to use your reaction though.
All right, picking another random SCP from my list. We have SCP-1942. Let me just toss this link to you.
(1942), a classic year.
Yep, this is a good one. This is a good one. I read this one today, so I actually know what this one is. I think this is a fun one. So, SCP-1942, Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures, SCP-1942 and SCP-1942-1 are to be contained in situ until such time as a permanent means of containment is developed. The Foundation has acquired all public and private property within a 5-kilometer radius of SCP-1942's primary nest, and has raised all buildings, roads, and man-made structures within the area. A 1-kilometer perimeter around the primary nest is to be treated with high-potency insecticide to be renewed as necessary. Any SCP-1942 samples found outside the insecticide-treated area are to be destroyed. Personnel entering the containment area are to keep any necessary equipment on their persons at all times, and any persons or objects exiting the containment area are to be fully inspected for presence of stowaways. Any devices created by SCP-1942, with the exception of -1s, are to be removed from containment area as soon as feasible for study and archival. Materials desired by SCP-1942 may be introduced into the containment area at O5 discretion.
We're gonna get more buggies because I read the first sentence. It's dance.
Yeah.
Description: SCP-1942 is a colony of Western harvester ants. I'm not really gonna try, but sure.
Pagana myrmex occidentalis.
Poggers.
Pogger ants.
Fuck you. Pognomignermix occidentalis, which at any given time consists of approximately 85,000 workers and drones and an unknown number of queens. I'm just going to call it 1942, inhabits a single primary nest with and 6 secondary nests near redacted. To date, no other ant colonies within the redacted region have demonstrated properties similar to 1942. Attempts to ascertain the depth of 1942's nest or the number of queens in the colony have failed due to 1942's acquiring and dismantling of all monitoring equipment and miniaturized drones. The dietary and reproductive habits of 1942 are typical of its species. Average lifespan of an 1942 worker. I feel like that's not right. It should be a 1942 worker, right?
Pretty sure Anne works there.
Average lifespan of a 1942 worker is approximately 55% longer than that of a typical P. occidentalis worker. The carrying capacity of a 1942 worker is well in excess of typical P. occidentalis capacity. A single worker has been observed to be able to lift and carry objects and carry objects weighing up to 0.4 kilograms without injuring itself. Larger groups of 1942 have demonstrated an ability to lift objects weighing several hundred kilograms. The mandibles of 1942 workers are also significantly more powerful than is typical of their species. Swarms of 1942 working in unison have demonstrated an ability to cut through stainless steel with the precision impossible to humans without computer-operated tools. Damn, these buggers are feisty. I'm a little bit terrified about all the insect-related stories we're reading for, so I don't want any of these in my area. No insects in my area, please. Large swarms of 1942...
Have you checked your bathroom lately?
My bathroom's in here.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a good sign then. Large swarms of 1942 have shown an ability to manipulate and use tools introduced into their environment. SCP-1942 possesses an ability to communicate via release of pheromones that is significantly more sophisticated than that of the species. Analysis of 1942 pheromones has indicated the presence of redacted, distinct compounds. At all times since observation of 1942 began, large groups of workers not involved in digging, foraging, or caring for the queens and or larval ants have engaged in scavenging man-made devices and raw metals from its environment, which it has used to produce a number of complex machines. Oh damn, they're intelligent. Devices constructed by 1942 have introduced electric motors and generators, chemical batteries, forges for smelting and refining metal, including several exotic alloys and ores commonly used in they're building spaceships. Centrifuges.
For those curious, where he said introduce, what he meant to say was included.
Oh. Mm-hmm. What the fuck was I? Centrifuges, tools for extracting and refining plant matter into vegetable oil, replacement parts for SCP-1942-1, and devices for producing and recycling oxygen. Minor seismic vibrations within the containment area have led to speculation that additional devices not known to the Foundation have been built are in use within the primary testing nest. There was no word testing there. I just inserted it.
There was not.
The largest device, whenever I'm watching something, I want to write, and then I just start writing while I'm reading. So I just start
Don't do that.
I want to do that. The largest device constructed by SCP-1942 to date, designated 1942-1, is an electromechanical computer weighing approximately 9,000 kilograms and measuring 2.9 meters by 0.9 meters by 10 meters. SCP-1942-1 is operated by and partially relies upon Let me try that again. SCP-1942-1 is operated by and partially relies upon for computation.
Yes.
That sentence feels weird to me, but okay.
It's because that's a extractable. It doesn't. It's got some commas around it because it doesn't technically need to be there, but it is additional details upon the continuing.
Okay, Yeah, it's just it extends a bit
It
long.
feels weird. Well, it just feels weird.
Operated
It's
by
fine.
and partially relies upon for computation. Large swarms of workers who are in constant movement through a series of tubes, like the internet, built into the device, and involved in an operation of SCP-1942-1 have been observed to work in shifts, entering and leaving every 6 to 9 hours. 1942-1 outputs data in the form of pheromones, apparently produced from the processed corpses of dead SCP-1942 individuals, dispensed from large tanks on one end. It is speculated that 1942 uses 1942-1 to compute data necessary for the construction of other devices. At the time containment began, SCP-1942-1 was entirely amp-powered. SCP-1942 has since added several wind turbines and an electric motor to partially automate its functions. They're playing Minecraft.
They are.
Really epic game of modern Minecraft. SCP-1942 has demonstrated no hostility to the Foundation or to humans in general, and has made no attempt to prevent or retaliate against the removal of objects from its habitat. Objects removed are often quickly replaced by new devices identical to the object removed.
All right. Addendum. On blank blank 20 blank, Dr. Blank accidentally left a clipboard with a pen and several sheets of paper within 1942's containment area, following acquisition of several vacuum tubes and a steel ingot. Upon realization that he had left the items behind, Dr. Blank returned to the area to find that in his absence, 1942 had used the pen to write a message in English on a blank piece of paper attached to the clipboard. Said message reads as follows: Send aluminum, carbon, graphite, deuterium, thorium-232, sodium-24. Consideration will be granted. Breeder reactor must be online by 20 blank blank in order to complete phase 6 on schedule. Launch window is blank blank 20 blank. Will not reopen until blank.
They want materials for a nuclear reactor and do want to launch into space.
Probably. All subsequent attempts at two-way communication with SCP-1942 have been unsuccessful. It is not clear whether 1942 possesses the sensory capability to hear human language or to read printed words, or whether it chooses not to respond. O5 approval of 1942's request is pending.
I'd do it. They seem to be pretty chill amp bros, They're just Minecraft and they're building their own, probably test rockets. I'd be a little bit scared sending them into space, but they don't seem to be invasive. They could have done far worse, like building armaments to break out of their containment, but they haven't. They just like building.
I mean, at the same time, like, they have a pretty big range of containment. Obviously, some of them have tried to escape containment because they check people for stowaways. So some of them have tried, but I think the idea is that this is basically just like human ants. Humans. They're just humanly intelligent ants that have like developed and grown tools and are in like a pre-modern or like post-industrial era of technological development. And I don't think they're too worried about breaking their containment until the time when this is pure assumption on my part, until the time when they run out of resources. You know what I mean? They've given them a rather large fucking scale space
They're
to
just
like
mining.
roam in. Yep, and
They're
as ants, the stuff in that space is probably like equivalent to us in terms of like the world, in terms of
pretty
how
plentiful.
much they feel like they have. Yeah.
Although it seems like they do not have the thorium and deuterium, so that's why they
know what it
requested
is.
those increased alloys. I think deuterium's an alloy, but thorium actually is an element. Yeah.
Deuterium, thorium,
heavy hydrogen.
Yeah. It's space fuel.
They want to go into space. And you know what? I kind of would respect Ant Bros going into space. I just hope their ship doesn't come anywhere near mine. It's not like
these are like parts of fissile and fusile reactor materials and stuff like that. Nuclear.
It literally says breeding reactor
generators. Yep. So they're literally building a nuclear reactor for something. Not necessarily going
better
to space,
power.
though. They have been launching things, but yeah, presumably they're improving their power. Hopefully they don't have Aunt Noble. That'd be sad.
Oh. Hey,
Especially since that would actually have some level of impact on us, even if it was just a nuclear plant made for ants, made by ants.
I think they're smart enough not to have Aunt Noble or Aunt Tushima, assuming there's no earthquake.
I mean, to be fair, we should have been smart.
Hey, that wasn't our fault. That was the Russians' fault.
Yeah, but as has been pointed out repeatedly, that was like a huge breach of security, even from like a Soviet Russia's standpoint at the time. Like they fucked up to the worst standards they could imagine. It was bad.
Exactly. That's why it's only ever happened on basically USSR watch, because they've had very backwards issues with information and overreaching top-down hierarchies. So no one bothered updating that reactor. No one bothered maintaining that reactor. And they were fucking around with testing outside of the proper guidelines. Break every safety rule possible, and oh, surprise, something very bad happened.
All right.
This is why, like, even in modern reactors, they almost can't melt down. Asterisk with the almost, because they shut themselves down otherwise.
Yeah. It's almost like we know how to do that shit.
But we still shut them down. Any god. Let's not go into my existential pain.
D&D ideas. What does this spark? What ideas does ants making a nuclear reactor in a forest in America somewhere?
Reflavor this to tiny mushroom people, still building a nuclear reactor and still trying to go into space, and I love it. I don't know why I want to be mushroom. You have to make mushroom-shaped ships too.
So my weird thing is actually just like a giant device of some kind that you'd find. It's made out of thick paper-like material. So it's literally just like gigantized normal objects that make up like a portion of a world. So you have like the small borrowers feel. But like just a giant piece of paper dropped by a giant or something. Or like a god.
It's just used by the lesser creatures. Oh, these creatures would probably go to war with like the more parasitic, infectious, like cockroach creatures. They would actively be building weaponry and like little. Have you ever seen Creeper World? It's just Creeper World. They would be building armaments to defend against them.
At war
with ants.
With previous hive creatures. There we go.
Ant ship troopers. They go in mass, have fucking artillery kit. It'd be so cute.
You just want war.
Yes.
You're a warmonger.
Yes.
You monster.
I want cool, sexy, justified war, right? The industry behind it is amazing. Target's not so much. Except when they're Xenos, then it's always correct.
God damn it. Let's see what else. Think like a scent-based species, communicating primarily with scent. It's kind of fun.
Via pheromones. It's actually a pretty good stealth way to encode messages. If your species can only read through pheromones, you communicate normally amongst the others, but between each other, just do the pheromone sense.
Yeah. Kind of like a bloodhound species. Kind of like dogs in space.
Dogs in space.
That's such a good show. If you haven't seen Dogs in Space, go watch Dogs in Space just right now.
It is quite a cute show.
Pause the podcast. Go watch that. It's like 10 episodes, 20 minutes each.
On Netflix, should probably mention that.
Yep, it was on Netflix. At least it's on the American Netflix.
Hey, you can use NordVPN. Not sponsored.
We are not sponsored by NordVPN. All right. You got another one?
Actually, yeah, but I kind of like where we left it. Do we each do two, or this be my second?
This will be your second.
Okay, yeah, let's leave it off after I do my second. This one's short and sweet, but I read the word orange. So that's all I understand from this. Oh yeah, I have to send it to you.
Gotta send it to me. That's how we know you've only done one. Because there's only one link there.
Oh yeah, that actually is a good way to check.
There you go. Oh my. It's a fancy page.
Mm-hmm. From SCP-4021. Notice from the Foundation Records and Information Security Administration. This document has been heavily modified from its initial creation. All previous revisions, comments, notes, and additions to the document have been preserved for clarity. Keep this in mind while you read. From Maria Jones, director from RAISA.
Risa. Risa.
RAISA. Clearance level 1, unrestricted. Item number 4021. Containment class, neutralized. We'll just trade off between each other.
All right. Special containment procedures. SCP-4021-1 has been incinerated, and its containment chambers is to be used for other projects in the future. Its ashes are stored in an urn, which is footnoted, as per request from Dr. Trent Carter, a senior researcher assisting in prior containment of 4021, and kept in Dr. Carter's office.
Then you have the archive containment procedures. You can read that part too.
Yep. Archive containment procedures. SCP-4021 is to be contained in size 1 anomaly greenhouse. What is this? Oh, okay. I'm not going to read out the fucking numbers. Nobody cares. With multiple growing beds for use by 40 by -2 by -2. -1 requires at least 7 hours of artificial or natural sunlight per day and is to be misted daily with fresh distilled water for 1 hour. Personnel with level 1 clearance or higher are permitted to interact with -2 and the crops they tend. Sorted fruit seeds are to be provided to SCP or to -2 in order to keep instances content. Blech, word. Dr. Alan Fidd has been chosen as the project head of containment and research for 4021. Any requests for changes to containment procedures must be submitted to the project head. The requests portion is crossed out. I'm not taking any more of your ideas. Go yell at a wall. It might be more receptive to it than I am. Project head.
Damn.
On 050315, propositions for revised containment have been suggested by Senior Researcher Carter due to changes in behavior, which is all crossed out. Denied by Project Head on 050615 for unnecessary changes.
Description: SCP-4021 is the incinerated remains of a mandarin orange tree. Don't you breathe at me!
That one word changes the entire description.
Was in the or is the incinerated remains of a mandarin orange tree, referred to as SCP-4021-1. SCP-4021-1 previously produced sentient humanoid fruits, as referred to as SCP-4021-2. Okay, now I'm interested. Oh damn, this is longer than I thought it was.
Okay, yep. You said this was short and sweet, but I
didn't know the red parts were collapsible.
I did.
SCP-4021-1 is a 7-meter tall mandarin orange citrus reticulata tree. Instances of 4021-2 have been observed religiously worshipping this tree, possibly considering it as a deity.
Well, when you're all born from it, I'm not surprised.
4021-1 requires a large amount of removed to continually produce 4021-2 instances and remain healthy. Don't ask what was removed. It's not important. Project Head. Fuck me, Project Head. You are compromised as fuck. 4021-2.
Figured that was pretty obvious from the get-go.
I know, but he's so aggressive about it now, alright? He was in your face. I can handle some sassiness. Now he's just being rude. 4021-2 instances are gradually produced at a varying time frame from 4021-1. 4021-2 are sapient mandarin fruits with limbs that appear to be made of material analogous to non-anomalous plant stalk matter, with a series of interior organs that function similarly to those found in humans. 4021-2 have been found to have a sense of sight, taste, hearing. However, it is unknown if they have a sense of smell and touch. 4021-2 are able to engage in communication through mouth-like structures. These structures seem to have an organ within them resembling the human tongue.
I'm
I
annoying
want to know if they're,
orange.
I know they're human. Oh, God. I know they're humanoid. I'm curious if they're sexually dimorphic. We shall continue. The language of
Can they fuck? That's your question.
is a
Humanoid, so can
more
they fuck?
direct version of the
Or more
question.
more specifically, can I fuck them? Is what Powercore is actually
Is
thinking.
even more direct. The language that 4021-2 instances speak is unknown. 4021-2 are usually docile and seem to enjoy conversations amongst the other 4021-2 instances. When 4021-2 instances are not tending to their crops, they are seen observing with each other. They're seen conversing with each other. Or, I forgot what the word strike through was. Or, striked out, staring outside of the containment area for long periods of time.
Which was not occurring until 3 months into containment, says a footnote.
And from now on, we're referring to all dash variants as -2, -1, or the original name.
See, I was already doing that.
Yep. I just like to clarify, because while there are 17 -2 instances in existence, -1 appears to cease producing fruit until -2 instances have expired. It also requires for the remaining -2 instances have completed their burial ritual. It just that one confused me for a bit. It
That's
also
because that's a
requires
little wonky.
Yeah, it also requires for the remaining -2 instances have completed their burial ritual, and that sufficient time has transpired for the buried instance to have completely rotted, typically 6 to 7 weeks. While an instance of -2 expires, the other instances of -2 will pick up the dead specimen and bury it under -1. -2 pray daily at dawn and during births of -2 instances in groups of 3 to 4 instances. The frequency of these praying rituals have been observed to be gradually increasing over time, sometimes straying from the common times when they pray. Additional writing on the ground in their language hasn't been observed multiple times following these rituals, all of that striked out by our good friend the project head. Additionally striked out, what initially contained the maximum population of 21-2 instances alive at once dropped from 73 to 17, as evident from a photograph taken from 4021's initial retrieval site. The cause for this is unknown. Why are you adding unnecessary things to the document? It's just supposed to stay like how it is, says the project head, who no one gives a fuck about.
He doesn't even have a fucking doctor's name. He's just called Project Head.
I'm trying to find who fucking asked him. -2 instances have shown a significant interest in gardening, having been observed tending to all fruit crops in their containment cell. It should be noted that crops that are not classified as fruits were ignored by -2. The harvested crops have been tested by Foundation personnel and shown to show no anomalous effects. Struck out, when crops are ready to be harvested, -2 instances will allow personnel to take as many as they want, provided that the fruit has not been taken. Provided that the fruit taken is not part of the orange family. Nobody gets any more, the project head. Dog, I
Addendum
think he's fucking these
01.
fruits.
Series of tests with -2 instances, all proposed by the project head, occurred to test their reaction to various objects.
Did I freeze on your end?
No?
Oh. Yeah, I think my Chrome... Okay, there we go, I'm back. My Chrome froze.
Awkward. Test number 1. Specimen, 1 packet of commercially acquired bitter orange, Citrus aurantium, plant seeds. Results, -2 planted the seeds and proceeded to carefully tend the crop. -2 instances were observed attempting to converse with the crop in the same mannerisms they show when conversing with other instances. Test 2. 1 live marsh rabbit, Sylvalagus palustris, and 1 metal cage, empty. -2 instances attempted to capture the rabbit, taking around 30 minutes to contain it within the metal cage. -2 then returned to tending the crops, and the rabbit was thereafter ignored before being taken out by research personnel. Test 3. 1 glass of commercially acquired orange juice. The results. The -2 instances immediately began exhibiting signs of extreme distress at the sight of the juice. Following shortly after, the instances of -2 nearby proceeded to removed. Test 4. 2 ladybird beetles. Coccinella septimpunctata. -2 instances proceeded exhibiting signs of pleasure when they first noticed the beetles in containment. Began to watch as the beetles moved around their containment and analyze their behaviors. Test 5. 1 leaf picked from -1. Removed. Test 6. 1 decapitated instance of -2. Removed. Don't ask me what they used to say before removal. I'm tired of getting asked. I had my reasons, so please stop asking. Things like these are why I swear I'm going fucking insane working here with you people. 4021 Project Head.
Addendum SCP-42 4021-02. Changes in behavior of SCP-4021 have resulted in the requirement to take notes of any changes in behavior. What? Wait, that's not just me, right? Changes in behavior of 4021 have resulted in the requirement to take note of any changes in behavior. These notes are overseen by the project head. 05-2615. Addendum on behavioral notes. Input level 2 credentials.
I've not even we've not read that until now, but all of these say that.
Oh, they all say the same thing. Well, never mind.
Well, except for the behavioral notes part. All of these addendums have had collapsibles in them that say addendum -2 input level 2 credentials, addendum -1 input level 2 credentials.
This section is just specifically the behavioral notes addendum.
Yep.
Behavioral notes dated 04-2215. Proportionally less conversation overall activity has been noted between the 4021-2 instances. It has also been noted that -2 has not been tending to the crops within the containment chamber as often as usual. Who cares anymore? Why should we care anymore? Man, he is not getting a new tank plus anymore. Behavioral note dated 05-0315.
This is vitamin C.
Population. His vitamin Coomer. The population of SCP-4021-2 instances have decreased to 13, despite sufficient time having elapsed from -1 to produce further offspring. The cause for this is currently unknown. Removed, the project head. Behavioral note dated 05-2815. -2 instances have been observed spending a significantly increased amount of time near the entrance to the containment area. Furthermore, the observed instances have begun taking on more wilted appearances than previously noted. No signs of disease found. Behavioral note dated 06-1915. The population of -2 instances has decreased to 9. A request is to be submitted for an eventual reclassification to neutralize if trends have been observed to continue. It's nothing to worry about. The project head. Behavioral note dated 09-2015. Over the past few months following the previous note, the amount of instances of -2 active at one time has decreased until none have been produced at all for an extended period of time. -1 has died, quote unquote. Its features consist of decomposition. SCP-4021-1 is incinerated, and SCP-4021 reclassified to neutralized. I'm screwed, project head.
All right. Addendum -3. On 08-17-15, 1 month before that last behavioral note, Project Head left a note on the document directed at the researchers assisting in containment of 4021. A warning. Consider this a warning so I can have some peace of mind. Stop messing with the document. Leave it as is. Only I have full authorization to put any messages anywhere on this document. Removed. Senior Researcher, Trent Carter. You use this document however the hell I want to, Project Head.
Addendum SCP-4021-4. Project Head Alan Fidd is now SCP-4. Has been reported by several personnel to have recently shown disorderly behavior and being increasingly aggressive toward both Foundation personnel and remaining -2 instances. Dr. Fidd was brought in for psychiatric screening and is now being observed by on-site psychiatrists.
And he has been confirmed as a schizophrenic on 9/14/15.
9/14/50. Also found dead in his office chair after shooting himself in the head.
Yep.
Handwritten note.
Yeah. Just after on 9/20/15 is when the -1 officially died, and stopped making -2 instances, and they burned it and stuff. And so 6 days before that, he was officially found to be a schizophrenic. and is being observed by on-site psychiatrists. And then on the same day that the tree died, project head Alan Fidd was found dead in his office after shooting himself in the head. A handwritten note was also recovered. Alan Fidd, air quotes, was later found to be an alias he had adopted. Further research into his background is ongoing. And the note reads, I ruined my own life and theirs by working here. I torture them. I can't live with what I've done. This is goodbye. Looking back on this now, I should have realized this guy had a few screws loose. Senior researcher Trent Carter.
Yes, Trent, you should have. Addendum to SCP-4221-06. On 9/23/15, seeds from the remaining fruit of SCP-4021-1 have been extracted. Possible revival of this SCP is currently being researched. They were just plant bros.
Yay! Yeah, the plant.
By the way, it didn't say they were not sexually dimorphic. So fanfic writers, you have free reign.
It'd be real fucking juicy fanfic.
Yep. High in vitamin C for vitamin Coom.
That was my joke. That's gonna be a real fucking juicy.
Plant Xeno. Well, not Xeno. Yes. Other life form. I have to detect whether or not I'm allowed to.
Is it technically a Xenos though, since it's native to Earth?
Native to our Earth, but still distinctly alien. So yeah, it gets put in the bag.
Don't put oranges in bags. They rot quicker.
Where would you put them? Netted bags or?
Yeah, you net them and put them in a fridge.
Maybe they should have just been in a fridge. That's why they all wilted away. You know what this reminds me of? This entire story.
Oh God!
Do you remember what? What did you?
I don't know, but whenever you are reminded of something, it only ever goes in a really weird way.
Hey, I'm just going to talk about Harold from the Fallout series and how in Fallout 3 he's just like a giant tree guy and he has all the people around him worshiping him because his roots actually give life to the irradiated wasteland. So his people are living a pretty good life, but he is in excruciating pain. But he does spawn off like little plant defender people, and the cultists worship him religiously because he gives them a pretty good life by existing. The difference would be, or I would enjoy something like that, where it's a plant cult around the giant tree matriarch in this case, since it gives birth to them, and then you can have a whole society around it. If the tree just keeps growing and they keep spawning off, becoming more and more intelligent.
All right. So I wrote down for myself. Is actually a symbiotic, like two creatures, one that comes from the larger creature, and then a smaller one, not necessarily plant-based. I don't know what exactly they'd be right now. The idea is that the larger one, the little ones, basically, there are a certain number of them, and whenever one of them dies, they're like consumed or subsumed in some way by the bigger one, and then eventually just reborn through them. So they never like truly die, and they just continue living over and over with their consciousness. And the only time they actually die is when the big one dies, either by trauma or by like aging, which is basically what happened here. Is the tree just withered and died, and the creatures that relied upon it also withered and died. But that's why you got the seeds, because when plants wither and rot and die away, they leave behind seeding, which seeds out and creates more. So the story was real sad because it's like, oh, this like cute kind of like interesting thing is just slowly dying in containment. But it's also kind of like it's actually very similar to a cult in Amorum that you guys haven't experienced or encountered, though I might bring them in at some point, which is a cult dedicated to the god of death, or to the aspect of necromancy, specifically dedicated to the cycle of rebirth, who believe that no creature truly dies, that their souls are endlessly out there, and we all contain like pieces of each other, and blah 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 blah. And so they've got this. Their symbol is like a like tree, and then like a seed that are kind of like interlocked, and so the seed's roots loop out, and then the tree's branches reach down. It's just like this circle of branches to roots with a seed and a tree in the center. Yeah, they're basically just like they're not a peaceful cult. I want to clarify.
Death,
they don't believe that they're really killing anyone if they kill someone. They're just returning them to. They're just restarting their cycle essentially.
I'm about to game restart you, bro.
Game over. Start again. Don't worry. You game plus this time. You'll get a different soul. You have to reroll your stats.
Really rough form of reincarnation where you don't get to take responsibility. I like the idea of just a species where they can't interpersonally reproduce. They have to rely on a larger thing to reproduce for them. And in return, they just take care of that larger thing. The more of them there are, the better that they could defend and care for the larger thing. And then you can just keep virtually infinitely scaling this up. Like how I think it's a thing in a lot of fantasy that like elves come from a forest with like a great grand tree. This would very much reinforce that because they literally need that grand tree to live. They reproduce from the grand tree.
I mean,
or maybe not.
I was gonna say for a lot of fantasy, that's just like an elven creation myth. A very common one is that they come from nature and nature spirits to some degree. I'm trying to think of one where they actually are physically born from a tree or something like that, where it's confirmed and not just this is what we believe.
Like the more primordial, like Polish elven spirit ones probably are, but not like any
probably like
era.
Old proper myth ones, yeah. Like old proper like real world myth ones.
Because it's closer to like dryads and more elemental creatures than a secondary species.
Yeah.
Because they kind of are just nature spirits at that point. If you're being born from a specific piece of nature and let's maintain it. But I like it.
A lot
I want to play with it more.
A lot of older myths, older pagan religions were animistic to varying degrees. So yeah, a lot of it was like spiritualized spirits of objects or creatures or things manifesting.
Get to sow the seeds for more life. If I could encounter a room like that, that'd be a pretty neat room. I think one thing I really should, emphasis on the word should, so I don't have to commit myself if I don't, is create these smaller level set pieces.
Actually, an interesting concept as well. I've seen it done once, just not very well, and I was just thinking about it. But a race of like animate tools / weapons / like objects that manifest. So like their physical form is not their physical body is not their actual form. It is a projection, like a plasmatic or some sort of projection from a weapon or tool or thing that they always carry on them, that then interacts and acts like a normal creature.
So like, there you are, like an item, but the item manifests a humanoid to wield it.
Yes, basically, or a creature which it appreciates the appearance of. Should be really interesting to play around with because obviously, like, you'd have to decide, is this race going to be, and I like this as like a playable race, not necessarily an independent monster, but like you'd have to decide on like, is this something where they have a specific form that's built into their subconscious that they manifest so they can't change it, or is it malleable? Can they basically take on any humanoid form if they choose whenever they manifest? Do they demanifest when they rest? A lot of questions to be asked there. And that was something where like we just made like 5 different fucking leaps from what was the original fucking topic?
Orange tree.
An orange tree. Yeah, literally sentient orange plants. We got to fucking swords manifesting like plasma ghosts to wield them.
I like it being I heard the term from the show Lucifer, self-actualized, where their subconscious and emotional state manifests as a particular set of power. So their appearance is self-actualized from the experiences that they have when first crafted. They'll just try to look like their creator. But as they continue to venture on and experience things, they change their appearance accordingly. Not consciously, but it is shaped by their experience.
Yeah, there we go.
Just cool narrative powers. So how
Anything else?
how long have we been going?
We're actually coming on technically like an hour and a half of recording time, because we started a little bit late and then we were fiddling around with stuff before. I think we got started at like 5:20 or so. 5:15 is when we actually got started.
But I like this format.
Yeah, this is good. It took us 4 episodes, but we finally got to a format that works for us, that does the things that we want, where we get to read weird, interesting things, but then also use those things to inspire creations. And I've got a bunch of different things here that we can like actually flesh out. I could actually flesh out, put in a world, maybe tweet them out, like the ideas.
Because the goal should be rapid iteration of content creation. So this is a nice proving ground for all of our ideas, and we just get to talk about like cool narratives and stuff that this reminds us of. And I guess we could probably swap back and forth between. We'll probably always draw from SCP, but let's say we just dive into like D&D items and stories.
Yeah,
we dive into some other collective.
That's just it. It's like, I think part of the reason I'm glad that we stuck with like data upload as a name instead of like, because I was considering talking to you about maybe switching the name since we have like a specific set thing, but data upload as a thing makes more sense because one, it fits in with the this isn't a conversation we need to be having on the actual podcast. We'll go ahead and end the podcast here. Thank you guys very much for coming out and listening and watching. If you're watching us, you guys are all awesome. Stay awesome and have an awesome time. You awesome little lava monsters.
We hope you got some cool ideas. And we'll catch you next time.
Tell us your ideas. Just like one sentence, like thoughts or concepts, or even like paragraphs. Because I know I'd write a paragraph if I were listening to something like this. And if you want to see the continued conversations of things like this happening, you can go ahead and head over to twitch.tv/force2reckon, where you can follow my channel, since we don't have like a special streaming channel for the podcast.
Should we really?
Nah, it's a lot of extra. That's a lot extra. And you can catch us live every Friday, most Fridays. Sometimes stuff happens and we can't make it, but we do our best to make it. I think we've only missed 1 week, and that was because we'd also did a game jam that week, and you had spent like every waking hour and we're just dead fucking tired. So yeah.
Better now though. Like gotten a nice good week's worth of rest, and willing to work on more things. We've got little Toddy here keeping me company, and I'm gonna implement some of the items and stuff that I made for that game jam in my next project, which I'm not gonna announce yet because that shit's turbulent.
But yeah. Check us out, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. British Time or Universal Time. And yeah, thank you guys for coming out. My name is Force.
I'm Powercore 2000.
Signing off. Bye-bye.
See you later.